So Neville Goddard once said something very radical. He said that imagination is the fundamental power behind all creation, equating it with God. And he wasn't being poetic. He meant it quite literally. Today we're going to explore how Neville saw imagination as the one true creative power in the universe, and how using it correctly can reshape your entire life. So to Neville, imagination wasn't just a tool. It was the only divine creative force, the only reality. He once said that man is all imagination and God is man. So in other words, that same power that created the universe lies within you, and it's only limited by the limitations that you put on it. So according to this, whatever you persist in thinking, whatever you focus on and give your energy to and feel with true emotion, then that must become eventually your reality. So now let's talk about this power of constructive imagination. And let's be clear, imagination isn't just about visualizing random things that we want. It's about living in the state of already having our wishes fulfilled, living in that end state. So Neville taught that a short but very vivid scene, imagined in the first person, you're there, before you go to bed, imagining the reality that you want, seeing it in your mind's eye, and feeling the emotions behind it, that can be more powerful than countless actions taken in the 3D. So for an example, let's say you want to manifest a new job. Then don't just visualize a paycheck or the money, but imagine the process. Imagine shaking hands with your boss on your first day. How do you feel? And hear the words, hey, welcome aboard, we're happy to have you. And feel the emotions, how proud you feel, how successful you feel. And then feel yourself in that scene. So feel the desk in front of you, feel the chair in that new office, feel yourself sitting down, and you're in that new place, you're in that new scene, and imagine this in your mind's eye before you go to sleep. That's an example of using this power of imagination creatively, because it's not about seeing it, and it's not about working toward it, although we will have to put in the work, but it's about becoming that reality right now. So now here are a few very simple things you can do if you want to use your imagination this way that Neville Goddard taught. So first of all, practice feeling and seeing these imaginal scenes in your mind right before you go to bed. Neville Goddard taught this as SATS, so state akin to sleep, SATS. So practice SATS when your body is relaxed and your mind is sort of, starting to drift off into sleep. In that moment, imagine your desired reality in vivid detail and feel it as being real. And just as we talked about in that example with the new job and your boss, imagine it fully. Maybe you don't want a new job, maybe it's something else, but the same principles and concepts apply. See and feel yourself in that new reality, just a short scene. Feel how it feels to have people congratulate you and say welcome, and how proud you feel. Feel those emotions along with visualizing everything. And again, you can just loop a very short scene. It doesn't have to be super long, but just like a short summary of what you're trying to manifest. So again, with the new job, just maybe a short thing, maybe 30 seconds of you in that new job, shaking hands with your new boss, sitting down at the desk. It doesn't have to go on for minutes and minutes and hours, but keep replaying that scene, maybe a short 30-second thing before you go off to bed. And then finally, pay more attention to your daily mental diet. So what are you imagining all day? It's great if you start implementing the scenes and using your creative power before you go to bed. That's very powerful, but what about the rest of the day? What are you imagining? And any kind of inner chatter that's not helpful, or that's even worse, it's negative, start to replace that old negativity with positive assumptions and positive beliefs instead. And monitor your thoughts and emotions during the day, because we want to replace any of that negativity with positivity. And here I also want to add that one very common mistake that people make when they're doing this kind of work and using their imagination is they try too hard. So they visualize from such a place of lack and not having that they're really desperately wanting and needing and doubting the process. But again, if you're imagining you're trying to get something, then you're already imagining that you don't have it. Like that's the opposite of what we're talking about. Again, Neville Goddard spoke often about this concept that the world is yourself pushed out. So if you want to change the mirror, you have to change the source, which is within us. So change that inner act and that inner scene that's causing the outside reality. So to wrap all of this up, just remember that your imagination is not something out there. It's incredibly powerful. It is truly the creative power of the universe within you. And when you finally honor your imagination as truth and you understand its power, you can finally begin to use it to bring about the changes that you want to see in your life. So choose the scenes that you want to manifest very carefully and live those scenes and become them and feel the emotion behind them. And ultimately let the world then conform to that inner world that you're creating, not the other way around. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.